Well, hey, and welcome. It's the 26th of December, and I'm in Canada. Hello. I've got substandard lighting, probably not great audio, but here we are. Oh my God, it's cold outside. You want to see what it looks like outside? Check this out. It's snowing and blistering and blustering. This is where I grew up. So I lived here for the first 20 years of my life. I'm not exactly sure how I did that. Could you see that? Did it? Okay. Anyway, it's just very, very snowy and cold and, stuff like that. I picked the absolute coldest time of the year to come here. I'm going to show you how cold it is right now, just for fun. And then we'll get on to some musical things. I guess kind of across the West, it's probably pretty cold. But right now, in Fahrenheit, so for you folks, what's that Celsius? What's minus 17? I mean, it's got to be close to minus 30, right? Celsius. Let's see, 27. That's cold, right? Damn. Ben Coombs says he's got a lot of family in. That's cool. Me too. I mean, not a ton. I don't have a big family, so but I've got aunts, uncles, cousins, my sister, her husband, etc. So in Montreal, I guess it's -2 right now. That's not too bad. That's true. We've got Rico there with a super chat. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I can use that to upgrade my lighting when I'm traveling. Honestly, I think it's just the camera and my Mac is, this Mac's from about late 2015, and it's probably about time. I hate thinking about that, but maybe late in the year, maybe one more year, and then I go for a new computer. I tend to upgrade them. I don't know about you guys and you guys that run, if you do Final Cut or you run Logic or any kind of DAWs like Pro Tools and stuff, but I find it's every 5, 6 years I need to kind of get a new computer set up. They just seem like they start bogging down, not working as well, and so I'll wait a year, and then I'll rock these for another year, and then we will switch it up, get some new ones. It's always a big investment, though. I usually buy from B&H and get. Last time I did it, I got a new laptop. This is a late 2015 MacBook Pro, and I got a kind of top line iMac. And that's what I use in the studio. Both really good, but yeah, they just start. I think it's planned obsolescence, right? What'd you guys get for Christmas? You guys get any good guitar stuff for Christmas? Any good fun stuff? Oh man, tell ya. Let's see. Ben says that sure looks like Edmonton, not Pasadena. That's right. Time for new Apple Silicon, says Lauren. Yeah, exactly. That'll be it. In Vancouver, SMY Symmetry says -8 in Vancouver Celsius and half a foot of snow. Crazy cold for these parts. Yeah, that is for Vancouver. That's unusual. I heard there was going to be a big dump of snow out there. Yeah. Amar says, what does that do to the instruments you travel with? I brought my green Sir here. This one. And it's poly, the finish that they use, or some sort of whatever the urethane. And I don't worry about them, man. I just kind of, I mean, like, I think about a winter tour I did with Melissa Etheridge, for instance, back in 2011 across this fine country in Canada. And I remember being very cold here during that time. And I had this guitar. And it's, they're in the truck, like traveling from city to city. So, like they're 15 hours of the day, or maybe half, maybe 12 hours of the day or something. They're in a truck, and then they get unloaded into a venue, and the temperature swing is like 40 or 50 degrees easily, something, and then they go back in the truck. And this guitar is perfect, I find the main thing is truss rod adjustments, but I don't worry about. I might worry a little more if it was acoustics. But I don't really worry about the electrics, and especially not if they're, urethane or poly finishes. This is a cool guitar, right? I love this color. It's a little hard to see in this bad light, but this was my main kind of guitar touring with. Well, I played it a lot with her, and I played it a lot with Don Henley too, touring with him. And it's a really good. It's older. I've shown you guys this guitar before, so I don't need to go over it. But I just brought that and threw it under the plane. That's fine. Uh, yeah. Now, if it's nitro, I mean, you definitely risking getting some cracking and stuff like that in the finish. But that can be cool. I kind of like that. Secretly, I sort of wish my nitro guitars crack when I fly them and stuff. That's just me. Natural relicking. Natural relicking. Nice hair, says Rinza. Oh, thanks. I'm keeping it tight these days. Yeah, Strat style guitars are tanks, says Ian. That's true. Part of what I like about them, they're just tough, like baseball bats. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. All I got for Christmas was a sack of turkey jerky, literally, and a happy family. Well, that's good. That's all we can hope for, right? You know. I'm refinishing a guitar I previously refinned, so I got spray cans for myself for Christmas. That's awesome. That's excellent. That's fun. So I like those refinishing guitar projects. Getting into that kind of. I haven't done one for years, but it was fun when I used to do it. Yeah. All right, what else we got? Dave says he's going to be jamming some Van Halen with his brother this week, who's a drummer. That's cool. Together and rock out. 1985 JCM 800 2203 non-modded. It rocks super hard. That's awesome. Have fun with that. It's great. You don't need to mod it these days. If you ever want to get more gain, you can try one of those hot mod things that I did a demo of, pops in V2. That thing sounds great, man. It's just such an easy way to get a slightly different sound out of your already cool amp. I was really impressed with it. I didn't think I was going to like it as much, but it's a great high gain sound, I think. Who else is up there? We got Robert up there in the super duper chat. 200 people online. Great to have you guys here. I'm not going to go quite as late today because I'm having lunch with my sister. And I'm 1 hour later here. So that puts us at 2 p.m. for lunch if I was to leave just at 1 p.m. Pacific. So I'm glad you guys are here early because I got to jet and spend a little time with, the time that I have with family before I've got to take off again tomorrow. Robert says, new stuff I finally got my first DAW M audio monitors, PreSonus Studio 24 and Sennheiser. That's awesome, man. That's great stuff to start with too, PreSonus is good stuff. So you're using their software, I guess, right? Studio 24 is I'm not sure what they call their DAW, but I know people seem to like it, and their interfaces are really good. So, or is that the name of the interface? I'm just not sure. Studio 24. I assume you're using both their interface and their software. Yeah. Tellyman says you got a new serve. What is it? Tell us. What's it like? Thanks for the super chat, Robert. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Ben Coombe says, don't forget to hit that like. Thanks, Ben. Do you guys like the leaves on the wall up here? It's not very in my hotel room. It's not really seasonal, but what can you do? The software is called Studio One. Got it. Yeah, that's right. I've heard of that before. Cool. Well, that's good stuff. I had a PreSonus interface, actually. It was my first, like if you saw my very first videos, like that how to play Eruption video or whatever, I was using a little PreSonus interface for all that stuff. And I really liked it. And I generally speaking, I really like their gear. I think they make good stuff. It's good stuff for a nice price. I kind of recommend it if you're not going to go Apogee or UA, I say PreSonus for the, I like them. I know some folks that have Focusrite. They seem to work okay too, pretty good. But I just have good experiences with PreSonus on that kind of end of the spectrum of the, you know know what I'm saying. Leo's here from Frog Leap. What's up, buddy? Where is he? You're in the chat. There he is. Happy holidays to you too, man. I hope you're well. I always say this, but I miss you, and I hope I can rock out sometime, somewhere with you sometime again soon in some capacity, or at least come see your beautiful homeland in your studio and stuff one of these days. I got to get over there. I love that country that you live in. I do. That you're from. Beautiful place. Norway, for those that don't know. Nice place. From the north to the south, I've been, and I love it. What else we got here? Let's see. Starting my journey with computer and interface, says Richard. Got neural DSP plugins for Soldano and Gojira. Epic. Yeah, the neural plugins are pretty amazing. I guess there's a new Petrucci one out that I'll have to try. And I'm using the Quad Cortex on tour coming up in an, I think, an interesting way, which is on the back end, the send of my PT100, the direct out, I should say, not the send. That would imply the effect send. So I'm going into my pedal board out of a brand new Shure Axient wireless, which is the most kick-ass wireless on earth. And into the pedal board, send out of the pedal board from the switcher to the front of the amp, of course, PT15. Effect send back into my board through my effects, delay, reverb, whatever pitch stuff that go in the effect loop, back to the effect return in the amp. And then I'm taking the send out of the amp, direct out, and go into the, excuse me, to the Quad Cortex. And from there I can add, I'm actually going to try doing the speaker simulation in the Quad Cortex because it allows me to do a few different types of things with different cabinets and stuff. And then I'm also running stereo through some different effects, like a little bit of chorus for certain things, reverb, delay. That is if all this happens. We'll see if this tour goes ahead. God, it's snowing out there like crazy. -30 and snowing. Anyways, crazy times. But yeah, the Soldano is great. The Gojira, do I have that? I think I do. And yes, I do have the Gojira plugin. I got started on it and actually made some presets that I really liked for something, and actually wrote a little something with it that I was digging because it's so inspirational. Some of the sounds, like the cleaner stuff too, is really nice in the Gojira one. Anyway, I got started, and then I haven't used it again since. Not for lack of wanting to, just for been busy and stuff. But anyways, the neural plugins, I love the user interface, right? Like if you guys try them, they're really easy to use and just kind of beautiful looking, and it's nice, What do you think of them, Leo? Do you use any? I always wonder what Leo uses actually on his recordings, because sorry, having a little issue here. Yeah, I wonder what Leo uses, because his stuff always sounds so great. So I'm always wondering what he's. I know he uses Helix and sometimes, but maybe he'll tell us in the chat, or maybe not. Maybe it's a secret. Yeah, Naive Steve says he hopes the classic show gigs will still be going ahead, but Omicron may spoil the party. I know. Yeah, every day's a new day. We're just gonna keep looking forward. I'm not sure. I mean, nobody's sure. Nobody knows anything. It's like daily we change. What can you do? Pick up your guitar and play, I suppose. Gary says, notice you have an EVH Frankie as well. Did you keep the stock pickup, or do you have something else from your and Dave's pickup channels? I do have the stock pickup, and that's not because I'm opposed to putting something else in it. I like the stock pickup. It sounds good. It's just a Wolfgang pickup, and I think those pickups actually sound really good. Yeah, one thing is it's got 2 screws on the bass, or maybe on both sides. For sure on the bass side. I think it's both sides. They use 2 screws. So if I mount another pickup in there, I know it's going to be like another hole in the middle, and it might get weird. I don't know. So there's that. But I really have no desire to change it. It sounds good. It works well for that guitar, for that sound, and great. I don't know. It's more about the hands and having said, doing that pickup comparison and everything, it's more about playing. Like once I got that guitar, and then I sort of decided on what rig I was going to use to learn all those Van Halen songs for the show that I did with Mitch. And I just was like, okay, just forget about the gear now and just go with this. I like to do this with gigs. I like to decide on the gear and then not worry about it anymore. Like just be like, this is what I'm going to use. And then like only if something's really not working after like a week or 2 of practicing things, do I go, all right, you need to go a different direction. But like as long as everything's cool and it's like basically getting me the sounds, I don't tinker around with the gear. I worry more about the parts and getting the parts under my fingers and stuff. So yeah, that's true. Have you heard from your England tour? Well, it's just daily. Everything's on for now that I know of. You know, all my gear shipped. It's all on the way. If you hear anything, let me know. Christopher says, Merry Christmas. My pedal board has stereo effects pedals at the end of the chain. Suggest switch summing solution for using stereo 2 amp or mono 1 amp setup without detaching patches. Yeah, there's not really a way to do that because it's down to your pedals in the way that they're. I know what you're saying, but your pedals are going to sum to mono the best if you just do the pull the cable out of the right side of the pedal thing, which is what I do. And I know it's not perfect. You know what I mean? Like how, if you've got a Strymon delay, for instance, and you come stereo out of it, it's got some imaging, even if you don't have a ping pong delay or whatever, just like let's say you've got a 400 millisecond delay time set. Well, it sounds to me like what Strymon does is sets one side at 398 and the other side at 402, just like so that you get this width out of the delay when you have it set stereo, even with mono delays. Now, if you just collapse that to mono somehow, I think it might get weird sounding. But if you just use the mono out on the Strymon, it doesn't do that. It doesn't add, you know what I mean? So you're probably best off just. I haven't. This could be, unit dependent, but pretty much any time you sum a stereo sound to mono, it can tend to sound a little weird. So I think you're better off using the mono output on the pedal with the whatever they've sort of designed in the pedal to handle mono as opposed to stereo. I think it'll work better. I hate it too. I feel your pain because I've got a pedal board that's got the cables all plugged into the right and left sides. This is for my post path, and I just pull the other ones and they just dangle there when I'm running a mono rig. And it's like, I don't like that. I wish I could leave them all plugged in. unless your pedal has some sort of provision, even when plugged in stereo, to set it for mono out, maybe. Like I know the Boss pedals have actually like a DD500, you can set it to stereo or mono out or whatever, but I think it only goes to stereo if you've got both things plugged in. Does I remember? I don't know. I would just pull the cables. You're safest. Are you using Logic or Luna more lately? Logic, really. I like Luna, and I enjoyed getting into it and stuff, and I would love to work more in it, actually, given the time. And I would say that if I did another record, maybe I would try and find a way to use it to record the guitar tracks more and stuff. But the one problem I have with it is that I can't. Here's the only thing: I can't sum within when you're using the arm. This is if people haven't used Luna, they won't know what we're talking about. But the accelerated real-time monitoring feature to record, which is kind of what you use to record in it all the time for low latency, you can't sum within Luna 2 channels to 1 track. And that was the biggest issue I had with it, because I sum within Logic. It's just part of my setup. I sum 2 microphones on a cabinet to 1 track. And also the stereo tracks thing. Instead of like you can't have a stereo track, you've got to print to a track 1 and track 2, for instance, a hard pan left and right. It's not a big deal. These are not things that people would have worried about back in the day with it kind of works like, if you think about it like an analog tape recorder, it kind of works like that. Like you wouldn't have been able to do that either. It's not like you could pick a stereo track or mono track on an analog tape recorder, have track 1 be stereo left and right. No, you'd use track 1 and 2 in a hard pan, right? So blah, blah. But anyways, a couple of those things that I do within Logic that I really got used to, I just, it's just a little bit limiting, but I love the tape sim and the summing, Neve or API summing, as well as the API vision thing, just being able to have that kind of as a virtual console on every channel within Luna, right from the get-go, is so cool. So there's things I really like about it. So although there's things I can't do, I may try and modify my workflow because I do love the sound too. I love the sound, especially when working with like real drums and stuff. I'm used. This is the other thing. I'm used to the MIDI editing within Logic when I'm doing drums and stuff. I really enjoy the MIDI editing, like on the grid in Logic, and the way that works. And I'm just so fast at it compared to Luna. So, but once again, sound is great for Luna. Okay, Leo says that he uses the Kempo for Kempo. Leo Kempo. No, Leo Kemper. Sorry. the coffee. My brain gets ahead of my, you know. I've been using Kemper for years in the studio. Now started with the Cortex. That's cool. I love the Cortex too, right? It's awesome. Um, Kemper's cool too. Helix cool. Uh, but man, I'm really enjoying, like I say, I mean, I'm taking it out and using it for this next. And I actually have two of them now, two quad Cortex. So I've got a backup that I can bring. And it's just cool. I was going to say at the back, so the way I described it earlier, with it at the back end of my rig, and I can use it for stereo effects and stuff right at the end. Then those two left and right will go to the PA. If I have a problem with my whole rig, I can then plug right into the quad Cortex because it's right at the end of the chain. Just pull my cable out coming from the amp send that's going right into the input of the quad Cortex, the amp direct out rather, and plug my guitar right into it. And now it'll be quad Cortex right to PA. So that functions as a great backup, I think. And I'll just make some other presets that have, amp sim in them and stuff like that for the backup. Actually, I haven't set that up yet. I still need to do that. But generally when I do backup, I don't, I'll just make like 3 presets, like a clean, a dirty rhythm, and a lead. I don't get too much more into it than that. I just figure, well, if everything goes to hell, I'll just use a few presets and get through the night or whatever. Luckily, that doesn't happen often. Knock on wood, or almost never. Knock on wood. Yeah. But that's cool, Leo. We'll have to gab about this I'll hit you up on Messenger or something like that, and we'll commiserate. I want to know how you're using it and stuff. Yeah. Brisley Adams says he's got family up in Edmonton too. That's cool. Cheers from Germany. They're having a good time over there. Good holiday season. Jim, with your super chat. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. We've got almost 300 people here. 286. That's amazing. Yeah, thank you, man, for your super chat there, Jim. Appreciate it. I'll use this for lunch with my sister. Coming up here in an hour and a half. Peter, thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, you got a classic S Paul Wallona lefty. Could not be happier. That's a light one. Those are cool. They're this series of that Sir came out with recently. They're kind of in. Is it like kind of a pastel blue or something? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice to learn from you. Well, it's 29 degrees Celsius, minus 29 degrees Celsius outside in Calgary. I know, man. I'm not far. Only a couple hours away, and boy, is it cold. Don't you feel like, though? I feel like when it gets past about minus 20, you can't tell anymore. Like the difference between minus 20 and minus 30 is not really noticeable. It's just too damn cold to be outside. It just feels really cold. I don't notice it. Whereas heat, you feel, like no matter what. But the cold thing, it just gets ridiculous. It's like my body can't sense it. I was actually walking around yesterday outside, and I was I've got a great warm coat and cardigan on underneath and a scarf. Put a hat on, pull the hood up, gloves, got good boots, and I'm like, I'm actually okay out here. Like I can walk around, and as long as you dress for it. It's when you don't dress for it, And kids in this town are crazy. I was walking down the street the other day back to my hotel, and I passed this club. There was like a club on the 23rd that was open. I guess last day before Christmas and stuff, before they're open, and so kids were getting their partying in. Plus, the drinking age here is 18, right? So kids go to clubs younger. And these boys were walking down the street. They looked probably 18 or 19 going to this club with just sweatshirts on. I'm like a snowman, and they've got their sweatshirts on. They're like bundled up going into this club, right? And they're just like laughing or whatever. I'm like, oh, I used to do that too. I remember like, you don't want to pay for coat check or whatever. So you just don't bring your coat. Then these girls get out of a car and they were cold, but they were wearing, I'm not kidding you, just jeans and halter tops, like bare bellies and the whole 9 yards, like running past me to get into the club. But like, it was like a block and a half away. It's like minus 20. It's just like insane. And I remember people doing that here when I was never that crazy where I was like, yeah, I'm going to go in a t-shirt or something. But yeah, it's just funny. Like, just get a coat. Get a coat. Dave says you'll ski in minus 12. That's a little too cold for me. I think the perfect skiing temperature is like minus 10. This is Celsius. Minus 10 Celsius, what's that, about 5 Fahrenheit or something? Or 10? I don't know, something like that. That's great ski temperature. Minus 15 was kind of borderline for me. Minus 20, it just gets like, ugh, all right, that's it. Thank you guys for all your super chats. I appreciate that from all you nice people. And I hope you're having a great holiday season. Patrick says, when you bend strings, do you bend with the tip of your finger or the flat piece? And what about the strings above it that scrunch together? Well, when I bend, I guess I just, like I'm pushing the third string. I'm kind of on pretty flat, like pretty far away from my nail. So I don't know how to, I'm just pushing the third string. I'm not going underneath it. I don't like that. I use low action. So, right. So, and I bend, I tend to bend a lot with my third finger, like probably most of us, but I do bend occasionally with my second finger or, vibrato with my first finger. Uh, Unless I'm doing the Jeff Beck, that thing, then I'll bend with my first finger. So, yeah, and I use light enough strings that I guess I can do that. That's obviously gets harder the heavier you go. I'm on 9.5s at this point, although that guitar still has 10s on it. I haven't changed strings on it forever. But yeah, I really like the lighter strings these days, so that helps with all that. Dave, isn't it weird how non-traditional woods, Paolona, Palfero, pine are used in high-end guitars and sound great? Then they get used in lower-end Squires, and people start spewing on them. Spewing. Sorry. Yeah, actually, Paolona. I have a guitar that Gil Yaron made for me. That is one of his. What does he call them? It was from the Bone series, which is kind of like his version of a '59 Les Paul, but improved kind of thing with different things. The body is hollowed out mahogany, so the whole body. Imagine a piece of mahogany before you put the maple top on, like for a Les Paul. He hollows out the body all the way around with a router or something, and then he inlays Paolona into that. So it's a mahogany outer shell, sort of with Paolona inlaid on the inside, and then a maple top on top. It weighs nothing. It's like 5.5 pounds, and it has a very kind of almost semi-hollow, airy sort of character to it. Like it's really alive acoustically. Doesn't have a ton of bass, but has this kind of quality to it. It's interesting. It's a sort of a like a Gretsch kind of character or something almost. I don't know. Maybe you would say. Um, and it's cool. It's just a different sound. That guitar has a beautiful neck on it. It's been maybe my favorite neck of any guitar that because I've got 3 that he's done for me. That one is just outstanding, like the neck. And I need to play it more. I need to get the nut looked out on it just because it's a little weird for tuning. But other than that, it's a really amazing guitar. But that's my one guitar made of Paolona. So I think there's a lot to be said for my personal thing as far as wood goes. I just like it to be actually not too light, not too heavy. That's where I go with it. As far as like an overall, like if somebody was making me a guitar, it's just kind of why I use like in Strat type guitars. I just like alder, and I like the mahogany is in my signature guitar is interesting because it's chambered. We've got some small chambers in there and stuff to kind of get it to a certain weight, but that sounds great to me. And the the alder guitars I have, that's my most like in a Strat or Telia, just a good alder body. It seems to have these real solid mids. But Swamp Ash, Paolona, it's interesting. It's like if you like I'm not sure about Paolona exactly, like the quality, but I would say the one guitar I have, this sort of mirrors my experience. I was going to say like a Swamp Ash. It's got a slightly scoopy mid thing to me that can sound great if you want that '50s sort of Fender character, that real twangy 2 and 4 on the pickups in between position kind of stuff. The maple neck Strats, all Swamp Ash bodies. This is what they're sort of known for. If you want the more mid-range thing, more like a Texas blues guitar or something, or a bit more just push through the mids, I find alder is it's just a good all-around wood for me. But yeah, your mileage may vary. There's all kinds of different things that you can find. I saw a video from a TV show recently. Was it you and Alison Krauss? No, that would be. I don't look like Robert Plant, do I? I think we look a little different, me and Robert. No, I kid. She's got evidently a really cool new album out with him, right? I need to listen to it still. Uh, I played with Tony Cornell on Fallon a couple weeks ago, so that was the last show that I did like that. Yeah, yeah. Ayrton says, "Hey, dude, how are you? I'm okay, man. I'm pretty good. Pretty good. You're a ripper of a guitar player. You know that, though. If you guys haven't seen this nice gentleman from the UK, he's burning on the guitar, and he's a young man. He can take over." Uh, let's see, Thornbucker or Aldrich. God, so different. Playing style, government mule to Testament. Well, I mean, the Thornbucker's definitely closer for the government mule thing. Testament, I'm not really sure what Alex. I mean, he might be an active pickup guy, or maybe not. I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, it's hard to find one pickup that'll go truly that far, right? It just is. It's like the Aldrich I use in my Brown Sir Modern, and it's a rather high output pickup. It doesn't strike me as exceptionally mid-rangey, though. You know, they're like 17K or something, but it's not like it's a mid bomb like some of them can be. But I do appreciate different pickups these days. I've been a kind of a lower output pickup guy as far as my uh like my signature pickups go. Um, the Thornbuckers, obviously. We got some more stuff coming in that camp, in that department, in that world, actually, pretty soon. Um, Real soon. But what was my point? I do appreciate these days like a nice hot, like the JB or whatever. For some sounds, they're just great. You plug it in, there it is, it works. Like the Sir SSH or SSH Plus is a really good sounding pickup for soloing with high gain. It just is. I mean, it's got great mids. It's fat sounding. Um, it does a certain thing if you want to plug in, and so I appreciate it more. I was kind of like off that tip for a few years, and now I'm like, well, for certain sounds, it's just that they paint you into a corner a little bit into that sound. But for that sound, it's great. A 14K Alnico 5 or Alnico 2, custom JB, all these types of pickups, and the Aldrich kind of falls in. It's an Alnico 5 hot jobby. Yeah, yeah. Peter Urban says got the sunburst finish. That's cool. Not the yeah, I noticed they had that kind of like sort of pastel blue and stuff as well, different colors. Below -15 doesn't matter anymore. It just hurts. Difference is you die faster. Yeah, true. Yeah, kids are responsible for making everyone sick, partying in flip-flops. It's Canada. What are you gonna do? They're hardcore up here. Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy. Oh, what's this? Same here in Montreal. Teenagers walking around without socks in their sneakers, in their Snickers bars. Ed's down in Destin with those beautiful pink sand beaches, and it's 74 degrees. Nice. Enjoy, man. That's perfect. Yeah. People who live in this is interesting. That's good science there, Lauren. People who live in cold climates have more capillaries on the surface skin. You develop and lose those depending on where you live. That's really interesting. I sort of think that there's I will say this, like the first day that I was here, it was like, okay, this is so cold. And then it was just getting colder and colder. It's been getting colder progressively every day. And walking around yesterday, I was like, I remember this. I know how to do this. I got this down. It's just a pain in the ass, like having to put all that stuff on it every time you go out. Every time you go out, and it's bonkers. But I know how to do it, and I do feel like there might be a thing to cold climates and living longer. A lot of my family lived well into the 80s, 90s. That a lot of people do up here. I think there's something about the cold that is good for you. I don't know. Am I crazy? You might have more science on that. How did you meet Tony Cornell? Well, I've known her since she was 4. Because when I started playing with her dad, I was, well, yeah, she was about 4 years old, and so I've known her since she was a little kid. And yeah, growing up, taught her guitar for many years, and yeah, I consider that family my family. So I do. Uh, let's see what else we got here. Pete has very strong fingers, says Reverend. I wouldn't say he's very strong. I kind of like. I'll tell you something about. I appreciate that, but something about my hands is they're kind of like. I'm not like a real. Like I have medium-sized hands, and I feel like I got to be careful with my wrists and stuff, or I tend to get. I don't know about you guys, but I can tend to get maybe tendonitis or some carpal stuff going, nerve stuff. As long as I warm up, I'm okay. But if I get into it and I go at it too hard, like playing Crazy Licks or whatever, right in the first 10 minutes of picking the guitar up, I'll get pops and like shocks in my hands and stuff. It totally goes away after I get some blood flow going. So I have to be careful. I'm just very careful about that. And then I've got friends, my buddy Yogi Lanich that actually played in Chris's band with me. He's got great big hands. Like he's got like kind of like Paul Gilbert too. He's like lanky, long fingers, like just hands made for playing the guitar. And those kind of hands where people trill and you can hear the finger just going bang, 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 bang on the neck. A lot of power, and I don't have that as much. I don't feel like. So I have to work at it to get warmed up and to get any kind of speed going with trills and stuff. It takes me a while, like every time. So if you're like that, don't feel bad. I'm still that way, and it never seems to abate. Like that's just how my muscles work, and I have to be careful with them and go easy and slow, and then I can get up to a point. And if I practice every day and stuff and stay in a flow, then I can get some technical stuff going where but it doesn't come super easy. I wouldn't say. That's the truth. Christopher says, have you checked out any of the Sire Larry Carlton models yet? I have not. That's interesting. Is it a semi-hollow? I don't know he had a signature model. I remember the Larry Carlton models from Valley Arts. That a friend of mine bought one of those, and it was cool. It was like a 24 3/4 scale cream colored Strat. Anybody remember those from the 90s? Kind of a super Strat thingy with the Valley Arts headstock, a little ball on the end of the headstock and stuff. They were neat, kind of a classy looking super Strat 24 3/4. So yeah, yeah. Let's see, is Gil Yarin still around making guitars? I haven't taught. I pronounce his last name wrong. Do I? I he's never said anything, and I've said his name like that for years, so that's great. But is it Yaron? How would you say it? So teach me, because I don't have any idea. He's probably too polite to tell me that I say it wrong. And I'm sure he's probably used to. I probably helped publicize the wrong way to say it by talking about him in videos and stuff like that. But anyways, hey man, you know what? I'm an idiot, and that's just how it is. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. I think he's still around playing. He had moved to Arizona a number of years ago from Israel and was building out there. And yeah, there you have it. But I haven't spoken with him in a couple of years at least. So last thing I did, I made a video. If you want to see it, I did a video for his semi-hollow series. He brought out a couple semi-hollows and he sent them to me. And he's a great friend. And I don't usually do videos for other guitars unless I've done a few recently, like for the guitar from Ireland, the Virtuo guitar and stuff from Ireland. Virtuo. But I only do guitar demos if they're really different than my signature. I don't generally do like Strats or things like that because I have a signature model. But Gil sent me these semi-hollows, small body kind of semi-hollow, and he's my friend and stuff. So I made a video for him, and I guess they're different enough anyway. But they're really beautiful guitars. Just yeah, quite cool. And that was 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Let's see. 336 people online. I'm so glad you guys are all here, hanging. I can hang for another 45 minutes or so, and then I got to split skis because I got to go meet my sister for lunch. This is my last day here for the holidays. So for those that, shall we take a look outside for those that are joining late? It's a cold and blustery day, and it's snowing in Edmonton.
So this is, you guys, this is the street. If you're looking straight ahead there, I think you can see it. I'm kind of on, a little bit back from the street here. But this is the street that I am staying on right now, where I used to come and buy guitars and strings and accessories and stuff from the time I was 10 years old. I'm on, a street in Old Strathcona district here of Edmonton, and all the music stores used to be here on this street. This is where I got my Jackson that you've seen recently, a couple of videos and stuff. And I like to stay around here when I come here because there's things I can walk to do and stuff. And especially during Christmas, there's a few things still that are open when you got to go eat and stuff. But anyways, it all comes back to this street for me, for that I'm on right now, for growing up playing guitar, equipment, the whole 9 yards. And it was a little sad yesterday. I went past, I'll show you a photo. I went past a store that, if you're from Edmonton, you know, you just been through here and you're a musician, you probably know, called Lilo's Music. And Lilo's was run by a guy named Vic Lilo. And it was here the last time I was in town, still here. And they closed it finally. I know I took a photo. Where is it? Oh, I'm not seeing it. I have it in here somewhere, I'm sure of it. It's just a little bit sad because it's closed up now, and for lease and stuff. And that bummed me out a little bit because it's like, I just always remember, there it is. So the old Lilo's Music with the 4 lease signs, and you can see it's at the vertical sign there says music on it, and it's all kind of dilapidated and stuff. But that's the end of an era right there. Because I remember growing up, and I bought my first boogie stuff from them, and I didn't buy a lot there because it was kind of a run down a little bit sort of store. I bought from Mother's across the street, which was a little more up stuff. But hey, this is like Edmonton music history here, And the funny thing, he used to have some vintage guitars in that store, Vic Lilo. And I can remember back from the early 80s, a Black Beauty 1954 Les Paul, with the Alnico staple pickup or whatever in the neck, and the P90, beautiful Black Beauty. And being a little kid and being like, God, how much is that guitar? And they were like, oh, it's way too much for you. It's like $4,000 or $5,000. This is back in like the 80s. And, last time I was in there and it was still here, that guitar was still there. He hadn't sold. He did, at some point, just decided to kind of keep his vintage collection, I guess, and not sell stuff off. So he had a couple cool things that were, and that was definitely probably the coolest, that 54 custom. And, I was just sort of delighted to go in there and see that guitar because, it's like a piece of your youth. I had sort of lusted over that guitar when I was like a little kid, and there it is, still in the case when I went in there behind glass. So anyways, Lilo's gone. Everything comes and goes, doesn't it? But they were there a long time, really long time. Anyways, what are you guys talking about now? You guys talking about PAFs and stuff? John likes his pure. Oh, sorry, I didn't answer that last question. I've ever met Alex Lifeson. I highlighted it and then I never addressed it. Once, it was interesting. He came to a gig that Sloan, for Canadian rock fans, Sloan. Sloan was playing in L.A. on Hollywood Boulevard, and there he was, and he was talking. I know Patrick from Sloan a bit and stuff, and so we were standing there, and I got introduced to Alex, and he had come out. I don't know why he was in town, but he was in town in L.A. for something, and it was just a, hey, nice to meet you. How you doing? Kind of meeting. That's it. So very briefly, I hope to chat with him again someday. Actually, I would love to talk with that guy. For some reason, I think we'd get along well. He just seems like a great guy. So let's see here. Who else we got here? Go down to the bottom of the chat. I've missed a couple super chats here. I'm going to get to them. That's Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate that. You guys are too kind. And looks like Detroit, says John. Yeah, when I showed the outside. Yeah, kind of, right? Basically. A little colder here than Detroit ever gets, I think, though. Steve says, happy holidays from New Brunswick. Are you still using your Badger at all these days? I haven't for a while, to be honest, although I did get together a little bit ago with Melissa Etheridge, who I hadn't seen in years, 8 years. And it was great to see her
and we played some amps and stuff. She wanted to get together. She wanted to try a PT-15 and different things. So we got together and we plugged in her Badger because she's got a Badger 35. So that we played through it for a little bit and stuff and kind of had some fun. So it was really nice to see her though. Yeah, I like them. They're great. They're kind of the one sound they do exceptionally well to me. Sorry, my fan's going here, so it might be loud in the microphone. I know. Apologies. Computer just kicked in the fan. The one sound they do great is that edge of breakup thing that they do. That Americana kind of, is it dirty, is it clean? And it's different than an AC30 when I think of the way an AC30 sounds or a deluxe reverb. They just have a certain smoothness to them. That's really cool. And you know, if you set your guitar for just like, if it was a humbucker, it'll crunch up a bit when you nail it, or when you roll down to 8 or 7, it's nice and clean, you know, or a telly or something with that. You guys know, with Badgers know what I mean. They do that great. And it's maybe with the gain control between 4 and 6 somewhere. And that's the Badger sweet spot to me. Yeah, I think. I want to try and move a little bit quicker here. And did I miss another super chat? Let's do this one, then I'll take a look. As you were developing as a player, did you find you needed to go back and change bad habits? You ask a great question. Or do they change your character? You know, I mean, like, I used to see Rick, the bass player, play. He's this awesome bass player. We used to play with Neil Young and stuff. And I'd go see him with Waddy Wachtel's band at the Joint in LA. And it's kind of a jam band, or like a cover band, you know, but it'd be an all-star. I mean, Keith Richards just show up and sit in. It was so cool. But anyway, he played this crazy way with his thumb, kind of always. Like, he had a weird sort of thumb technique where he sort of hit the string, you know. Somebody said to me today in a YouTube comment, they mentioned like, "Oh, you're playing bass with a pick. Like, why are you doing that?" Like, you know, he's like, "That's a no-no," or whatever. And I was like, "Hey, man, Paul McCartney, tell him that." There's no rules, you know. Other bad habits. I mean, there's little things with my picking where I feel like I really need to still like change things. Like, I don't like the way that sometimes my hand, this is stuff on my own playing, but it sort of rests on the bridge, and then I don't. You know, when you see players and they use their finger on the pick guard, or maybe they grab the bottom of the pickup ring of the guitar as a kind of point of reference, and then you like, that can be your point of reference as opposed to your hand sitting on the bridge. I wish I could do more of that. Alex Lifeson is a guy that seems to be able to do that stuff really well and kind of arpeggiate through chords really efficiently and stuff like that, and cleanly. It's one of his things that he's really proficient at. Like, technically, those are cool chords that he plays and arpeggiates. I have problems in my own playing with that, and I feel like it's because of my picking technique. So yeah, and these are things I've worked on over the years. I've gotten better at it to where I can kind of loosen up my hand, let my fingers drop, and use the guitar as a point of reference more, like the pick guard or the area just below the, you know, where the pickups are. But it takes a lot of practice, and you have to kind of actively do it. And so it's hard. Breaking habits is hard. One of the most important ones to break is if you have a lot of tension, I find, in your picking hand, you know, like you tense up when you play. That's a tough one to kind of break, you know. And it's good to actively breathe and relax. Like, think about breathing when you're playing and relaxing. And if you can do that and really focus, you have to constantly focus on it though. If you're used to, like, fast lick is coming and you hold your breath, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like, try and breathe through it. Oh, your phrasing gets better. It's amazing. You know, it's like, it's actually a thing. So Amar says, belated Happy Christmas and or Merry Christmas, sorry, and Happy New Year. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat. And to you and yours as well. Stuart, thank you, man. I think I hit you before, but just in case I missed it, I think I got to all of you except for the one down there at the bottom. I'm going to get to right now. One sec. It's Kid Galore. Playing Helix in a cover band for versatile setup, 1 amp and pedals, or several amps. Okay, I see what you're saying. I would try and limit the amount of amps you use on any given gig. You don't have to, but I think it makes it more like a real rig if you limit, and your cab choices, because I'm contradicting myself here because I'm using a few different. I'm at least going to experiment in rehearsals with using a few different virtual cab choices for what's going to the PA out of my rig for this upcoming tour. Normally, I recommend just sticking to one cabinet because that's kind of what you would do live, one or two, right? You'd have even people with more sophisticated rigs might have a twin reverb and a Marshall, just two different speaker and cabinet types. That's it, right? If you use like 10 different cabinets and you're sending all of that to the PA, that might be weird in the PA because generally speaking, the sound guy, like whether or not you even know it, they tend to EQ you a little bit on the guitar, usually. And if you're sending them a ton of different sounds for every single song, like a different cabinet, because the cabinet is this, like, it's like a massive EQ on your whole sound. So you can get into trouble, I think, by changing up the cabs too much and throwing that at the front of house, all the time. Unless you really like dial it in. I guess if you've got time to dial it in, you can listen to the PA and make sure it's translating in the PA. It's okay. There's no hard and fast rule of this. You could use 10 different cabs and probably get great sounds. But I'm just saying I think it's easier and more realistic to what an actual real rig, by real rig, whatever, amps, cabinets, microphones, what a rig like that does. So with that said, I tend to limit myself within the Helix when I'm setting up, if I'm doing like a gig all on Helix or something. I tend to limit myself as far as the cab choices and maybe just to a couple different amps. Maybe clean Fendery, an AC30 kind of thing for a few sounds here and there, and then my lead kind of, and dirty rhythms, which would be the same, just with more gain for the lead, maybe adding a pedal. If you do that, I think it makes it easier to get your head around it. So, this is Dale says Vic Lila was a thief, ripped me off as a kid on a trade-in. That's not good. He always seemed a little. I know what you mean. I'm sorry to hear that though. But you're saying Axe Music and Mothers were the place to go. I agree. I ran into trouble at other stores too in town in Edmonton. I took a Hamer in once to Mainly Music in Edmonton to have some pickups switched, I think. And the guy sold the original pickups from my guitar. When I went to pick it up, I said, "Can I get my parts back?" And he said, "No, they're not." He admitted to me. He's like, "I sold them. I didn't think you wanted them. Pull them out of the guitar." And he broke it. So in a Hamer Chaparral, they had 3 mini toggles for each like 2 single coils in the humbucker. And on the humbucker, you could do like series, parallel, and split, I think, with the mini toggle. And he had broken the switches somehow, snapped them off, like 2 of them. I don't know, like done something maybe when he was working on the guitar. And he had routed the guitar then with a channel for a regular 5-way, drilled the 2 holes to put a 5-way switch in because it was back routed, right? No pick guard. So he sold my pickups and broke 2 switches and just took it upon himself to put a 5-way in the guitar. What the hell is that? And things like that would happen. I had another thing that happened there too that I probably won't. I don't want to like get into all this and stuff, but where I ordered an amp that was promised to me in a certain period of time, and 6 months later it still hadn't come in, and I ended up calling the company and saying, "Where the hell's my amp? Like, is my amp on order with this certain store in Canada?" And it turns out that the store was not a dealer for that amp, but in other cities they had dealerships, but in my town they didn't. And so when they found out that I'd called, in other words, they had sold me the amp through that store in my hometown, but they were going to get it from another store from another city, have it shipped here, and then give it to me. Well, you can't really do that. I would have had to do the deal directly with the store in whatever, I guess, pay them, and then they would have shipped it to me directly at home, right? But you can't really, because there was a competing dealer that had the dealership in town, which was Lilo's, by the way. That was the dealer that rightfully had the line. Anyways, they flipped when they found out I'd called the company, and I was like, "You've had my money for 6 months." It's like, what do you expect me to do? Give me my money back, get me the goods, or I'm going to start making calls. I'm mad about it right now. It was 3 years ago. Anyways, crazy guitar stores, man. Kind of can't pull that stuff off anymore because it's like now you've got Thomann and in Europe, and you've got Sweetwater, and like
there's other options. So if mom and pops pull that stuff, they're just going to go under really quickly, right? You got to be like the guitar stores that survive are the ones that really go out of their way to for good customer service, and you know, the Wildwoods and the, I mean, even they're kind of, mail order, but the what, like when I think about guitar stores like, in LA or, it's a bit more niche now. I mean, I think about like LA vintage gear, Cliff's Place in LA. Um, it's much more a boutique, they've got park amps and they've got, the Danacasters and stuff like that. And they do commission a lot of famous players and, in LA and stuff will sell gear through there. And it's much more like I don't know, they got to be these kind of classy operations these days, don't they? So, yeah, just kind of, yeah, everybody's saying there's oh, this is interesting. Long and McQuaid. Whoops. Where was the lost my gear twice while it was in for repairs. Yeah, that's like unbelievable. Like you could not do that now, right? Like, or was it recent? I hope it wasn't recently, because if it was, that's incredible. That's like Better Business Bureau stuff. But Long McQuaid is like the Guitar Center of Canada, right? It's like a huge chain. So how you can't get away with those kinds of practices the same way, I don't think, with the internet and stuff. Now you can just hit Twitter and stuff and be like, tell the story, and then they're, it, it's it's harder to stay in business, I guess. So I used to drool over the Hamers back in the '80s. Music stores couldn't afford them. They were really cool. Mine was a hot pink, like literally fuchsia chaparral with the all black hardware, Black Floyd, the boomerang inlays. I mean, it was as '80s as it gets. And I had a good friend, Al Vermew, who had a Hamer that had uh, dot inlays that they lit up. I used to go see his band play. He'd plug in the cable and all the inlays lit up on the neck. And that guitar looked so cool to me. It was like candy apple red with the light up inlays. It was so super hot rod. But yeah, and of course Steve Stevens, good buddy. He had his association with Hamer in the '80s and stuff, and some cool stuff. But John says some horror stories with mainly here in Vancouver. Yeah, they were. There was some shady shit going on. There's absolutely no doubt. I experienced it personally firsthand. I'm not just talking smack. But kind of a cool store. They were actually the Hamer dealer in Edmonton, and they had some other cool stuff too. That was, I remember. But anyways, what do we got here from David Lee? What's up, man? Is your last name Roth? You get that all the time. My Christmas is coming next week. Found a '70s Ibanez Destroyer. It's unbranded. Excuse me. Has name of importer on headstock. That's so interesting. Was so affordable, but same factory. That's awesome. Should be good times. Where'd you get it from? Is it coming from Japan? Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Okay, I got about another half an hour, guys, and then I got to split. I'm gonna go have lunch with my sister. What else we got here? Do any of the great players play right? Right. That's the electric guitar is a rebel instrument. There is no right or wrong way, Even the acoustic guitar. You guys ever see that video of the guy that has no arms that was playing guitar, like for the Pope? I think you probably find it on YouTube. It's incredible. He plays guitar with his feet, and it's better than I am. There's no right or wrong way to play the guitar, So maybe Warren DeMartini plays the right way. I'll tell him you said that. That's a nice compliment. Okay. Let's see. Can you send and return the amp and pedals from a switcher and avoid having to unplug the guitar? Can you send and return the amp and pedals from a switcher and avoid having to unplug the guitar? Most switchers will have a mute on them. Is that what you mean? Like to mute? I'm not exactly sure your question, but I think you're just saying, can I just not get the pop when I unplug? My Musicom Lab has a mute where you hold the mute. Sometimes it'll kick out to a tuner when you do that, usually. But I'm not sure that's exactly what you mean. So, yeah, tell me if that's what you're asking. Yeah. I second asking Andy Wood to be a guest. Go Through God of Light and Monster Movie. Monster Movie's my song. I can tell you about Monster Movie. Yeah, I'd love to have Andy on actually. And Andy, I know Andy. I've known him for years, so he's a great guy. That's a great idea. I'm probably not gonna have guests for a little while and stuff because I mean, pretty soon here I'm gonna be in the UK until mid-February. So unless I do some UK-based guests, which that could be a possibility. Maybe I'll do that. See if anybody's on the same schedule over there. I might have to think about modifying the time of the show too, coming up while I'm over there, theoretically over there on tour. I think it's happening. But can you get Matt Scannell as a guest? I'd love to ask Matt to do it. Actually, I have had. We did do a Tim and Pete show with Matt. That's pretty neat. It's the same one that we did with Gil. So that's something you might want to see. But yeah, it'd be nice to have him on here directly and just be able to ask him questions one on one. Any advice on tendonitis or carpal tunnel? Do you stretch? I warm up very slowly. That's what I do to not get those. Stretching's good, like hand against a wall kind of stuff. This kind of stuff, and just careful, and push until there's some, that kind of thing. I think that's good, those stretches. Don't push it though, Ben says, I'll be your guest, Pete. I love you, Ben. We'll do that one of these days. I promise. You're the best. My Canadian brethren. Yeah. But yeah, I think, please drop in on that pedal show. See, that'd be great. I'd love to have that pedal show guys on as guests as well. Maybe while I'm over there, just for now, I'm on the same schedule. So we'll see. I might switch up the time, Are you singing lead on any tunes? I liked how Howie G sang a few tunes. Howie G was the guitar player in Classic Rock Show before me. Not planning on it this time, but I know what you mean. It was cool that Howie sang as well. It was a nice, it's great having the more singers, the better. You get that kind of the different character, the different voices and stuff. But we don't have plans for that on this one. I'm just, it's a little overwhelming. Think about touring right now altogether, and it's like I'm just trying to full speed ahead with it and just not think too much beyond. Let's get these songs that we've got planned going and just get in rehearsal and let's just like hope for the best and kind of like get out there. I'm gonna throw any more wrenches into the works, because it's like I tell you what, I'm a little. I mean, I know like it'll be like riding a bike, but I'm a little out of practice even with traveling right now. I'm like forgetful, and like like I get if I'm not in my in the zone as far as like traveling even you know what I mean, it's like I haven't been anywhere. Even coming up here was kind of crazy, like remembering everything. I've been leaving things, but I'm pretty good about not leaving things in hotel rooms and stuff. I misplaced my other pair of glasses and stuff the other day twice. It's like, what am I going bonkers, I need to get back into my travel mode of being a little more on my game and stuff. And it's all I've been feeling. I don't know about you guys, but like this December, I've been feeling a little overwhelmed, with a lot of stuff, like with everything. I think everybody's feeling like that stress, and then this, new variant and all that stuff, and the travel restrictions, the things that are happening. I mean, it's hard to fly right now. Getting the tests 24 hours before you fly and stuff that you got to do when you fly internationally, just to figure things out it's a stressful time. So I'm trying to actually limit the amount of things that I have to do and just like. Can we just get on stage and play a few simple songs? But it's going to be, I know it's going to be like riding a bike, So, all right. Do another bus live. I should do that. You're right. Yeah. While I'm over there, I will. We'll do that kind of stuff. I want to make some interesting videos while I'm over there and put even a little bit more thought into it. Cause I did some brig rundowns and some different kind of like going to guitar stores and stuff. But if I can come up with some interesting angles and content and stuff like that for YouTube while I'm there this time, I'm going to definitely do that. Think about some different kind of videos I can make. Because I've been in this, you guys know, I've been 2 years in the studio, just making the same sort of types of videos, and that's what I do. I mean, the demo videos and stuff, but it's nice to get out and do something different. Anybody watching probably appreciates that, right? So here's my opportunity, so I'm going to try and take it and simple production, for the videos. I'm not going to go overboard or anything like that with, like make it easy on myself and maybe shorter, but cool topics and like try and make it, like interesting for you folks that are kind enough to watch. It's been stressful, says Tom Lind. And Simto says, yeah, I can barely get out of bed. I feel that. I think a lot of us do. Like, I really like sleeping these days. It's great. just want to get out of that bed, go to sleep. In the morning, I just like want to hide under the covers. And like, I think we've all had that. Like, it's crazy. At least we all, collectively we're going through that kind of stuff, And I try and remind myself of that daily. Like, everybody you see is going through this stuff. It's been stressful, says Tom. Yeah. My opinion on the JCM 800 model 1987 50-watt 4-input. Great. I mean, it's a plexi. They're really not that different than, you can turn that amp into just about it. I mean, you can get it pretty close to late 60s spec, reasonably, and get those tones out of it. If you were early 70s, they're really good. It's a circuit board amp and all that, but that doesn't mean anything. Arguably, maybe even better in some ways, than the early 70s circuit board amps, because those first circuit boards they used evidently are pretty like flimsy. Like the amps that sort of, it's not like I wouldn't get one, but they are like a little, especially if they've been modded and guys have gone at them with soldering irons and stuff. The 74, 75, like those early circuit board ones are a little troublesome from what I understand, just from the boards are real flimsy and stuff. So maybe getting into the 80s is, the only thing is the voltages can change and stuff, and then it can be like lower voltage and stuff, and maybe I don't know, but that's a little above my pay grade. But Dave Friedman's a good guy to ask about that. Like, is this a good one to get? Maybe sending photos of the guts to make sure it hasn't been too monkeyed with and stuff. But that guy, man, I mean, he works on stuff that's like had all kinds of crazy mods and stuff, and he just goes at it and he just like he tears them up and then he puts I gotta fix this too, and he'll go at it until it's like really good sounding and like kind of rehabilitated. Enjoy some good coffee and have a great start to a new rocking year, says 777. Danny, thank you for always being here. Best to you. Happy New Year coming up. The pain gets me out of bed, says Lauren. Is that like emotional pain or physical pain? I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but you know what I'm saying. Is it I experienced some of that as well. Yeah, I won't get into it, but what is Chris Cornell's daughter's name? Tony Cornell. Saw a clip of her singing "You Were Behind Her" with an acoustic guitar. Oh, that's nice. Ola played it. I love Ola. That guy's the best. Wanted to check out the whole song. That's cool. We did it on Fallon a couple weeks ago. It was her version of "Nothing Compares to You." Yeah. Oh man. Okay, what else we got here? Where are you playing in the UK? All the dates are on the Classic Rock Show's website. I believe it's theclassicrockshow.com, I think. And you can find dates there. There's about 30 of them. And we were playing everywhere, supposedly. I just saw this morning in the news that Scotland and Wales are having some sort of like limits on gatherings and stuff, but not the UK yet not England. I mix these up. You know what I'm saying? Scotland and Wales are imposing a few limits. So we probably have dates in those places. I don't know how that affects things. I don't know. I just go where I'm told. Somebody says, it's time to go. Get on stage. Here's the guitar. Do you have a pick? That's all I know. That's all I want to know. Tunnel vision. My friend John Button goes like this. Just go like this. Bass guitar. He plays bass. Yeah, there. Ben posted. Ben posted the link. Yeah. Ola, he made a lame dumbass joke about you playing an acoustic guitar, but having a bunch of electrics as backup. So the deal with the electrics, you can tell Ola. I like Ola. I'm sure he's just joking around, but you can tell Ola that the guitars were all Chris's. So now he's gonna feel bad. Sorry, Ola, but all the guitars in the rack were Cornell's touring guitars, and I believe sort of basically untouched from when they came off the road. So I mean, it's a whole rack full of his Gibsons and Gretsch and a couple Les Pauls and Duesenberg, etc., etc. I found it interesting inside the rack too. He had two tape strips because he used PT100s on the last Soundgarden tour, and the two tape strips from the amps, amp 1 and amp 2, were in there. And I was like, oh, I looked at them, took a photo of it so I could see his settings. I was interested in how he was using them because I knew he was using them in different ways. But anyways, that's why all the electric guitars, they weren't backups. And the guitar that I was playing was the guitar that Chris gave me as a gift in 2012. So a D28. So it was all very supposed to be poignant, Ola. Jeez. I know it doesn't crunch. Let's see. It's not going very well in the UK with the Omicron thing right now. That's what I hear. I know a lot of people that have it over there. I mean, a lot of people that have been going through it. Luckily, largely, from what I understand, relatively mild. Well, one friend of mine said it was like, okay, I was laid up for like 5 days, but I'm coming out the other end of it now and stuff. But anyways, when do you fly overseas? I'm supposed to go the 1st. Yeah, the 1st. Yeah. Chris always gets labeled as a singer because he's a great one, but he was just a plain fantastic musician. Agreed. Yeah. Great guitar player, with his own unique style. He was very self-deprecating about his guitar playing, but I used to always say, like, dude, come on, doing all this stuff. You're an awesome guitar player. So, yeah, he may have known. I think Ola has a great Ola's videos. I watch Ola's videos all the time. He's hilarious. I mean, I love his vibe, and him and his dog. He's got that new dog that's so cool, and and his wife. Like, it's just great. He's a great YouTube guy. He's a great personality, just fun, and I'm a fan, total fan. Yeah. So what else we got here? I'm going to stay another 10 minutes, and then I am heading out with my sister. I'm sure Ola was just being sarcastic. Yeah, I think so. He's always on. He's always funny. He's a reliable, funny, awesome, smart personality, right? Such a good guitar player, playing and singing Rusty Cage at the same time. Crazy. Yeah, that is hard. Doing the background vocals is hard because I used to do. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. I used to do that low, actually, kind of not that out of that range, but I used to do the low one under him, and it's really weird to play and sing, especially I mean, then of course you do the whole verse, with them and sing it. But anyway, it's crazy. Does the D28 chug? No. Yeah. What guitars are going with you? PT15 or PT100? PT15 is going with me, and the guitars that are going with me are. I'm taking a couple Serves. I'm taking 2 Les Pauls, my R9 and my Black Custom. I'm taking my Destroyer. I'm taking, what else? Those are the main ones. Oh, an SG. That's it, kind of, I think. That kind of covers it. Yep. And the PT15. All right, what else we got here? Steven says, after Eddie's death, you said you had a lot of stories to tell that I'd tell in time. I kind of did, I think. I sort of told a fair amount of the ones. Like, I think I'd recount. I can't do it right now. I couldn't get into it. And I think I already did it anyway, but because I got to go in like 5 minutes. But told a whole story about this track that we had worked on together and stuff that never got finished. But anyways, back right when I met him and how we became buds and stuff like that. But anyways, missed that guy. Do you mind sharing what music distributor you use for your music to get stuff online? I like DistroKid quite a bit. I find it really simple.
And I used to use CD Baby. They're kind of a pain in the ass, I think. I don't have great. It's okay, my experience with them, but they it's not very. It struck me as being kind of more personal operation, maybe, and then it got very not personal, and it was difficult to get through to people. And the last time, like, I'd asked them to make my album available on Spotify a while ago after not doing it initially. So when I first signed up for CD Baby, I didn't want anything streaming because not as many people were streaming back then. It was like, no, I want people to actually purchase it. So it was like I made the tracks available on iTunes and all that, and then also available for CD purchase. Well, eventually they closed their music store. Streaming becomes more of a thing, and I hate Spotify. Like I like Apple Music much more, but I still don't really like any streaming. But anyways, I asked them to make it available then for on streaming, and it's like I paid them originally back in the day to do it. They should be able to just do it, like it's like just change the send the album out to the streaming services. It's really simple, and they're like, oh no, you have to pay for it again if you want to do that. It's like this guy sucks. So I put Guitar Nerd on Spotify recently, and I just did it again under DistroKid. It says really 2021, even though it came out in 2011. That's the only way I could figure out how to do it. But anyways, I like DistroKid. They seem pretty good. Matt says, what do you think a fair price would be for a matching pair of 70s 25-watt black backs? I mean, they're getting more and more. I mean, a fair price, probably a couple $100 each, even more, I would probably pay 500. 600 would be like now you're getting into we're pushing it into kind of expensive top shelf, a guy at a music store selling them kind of territory, a vintage shop. But that would be my best. If you can get them for $500, I think that's fair. A couple $100 for a vintage speaker if they're matching and in really good shape is totally reasonable. Up to 300 if you're really like I have to have these, maybe, but that seems a little outside the realm. Cole, thanks for the super chat. You guys coming in with the super chats right at the end here. I appreciate it. What sucks about Spotify? Just that their CEO is like a multi-billionaire and like will not negotiate higher artist royalties. It's like they're, and I know it's on the labels too because they should have done the negotiation back in the day. But I don't think it should all fall on like, well, that was the deal you made, so I'm going to make as much money as possible. Screw you guys. Like, sorry, fair and square. I'm not doing anything illegal. It's like, yeah, okay. But can you realize that your business is the whole business sort of propagated on art and music. And if there's no incentive, if there's no financial incentive, like it's hard to record a record. It takes months or weeks at least, if not months, getting things mixed, getting things mastered. It's a big expense. And if the only way to distribute it becomes streaming through Spotify, and then they pay you like 25 cents for especially if you're just an independent artist, what's the incentive? It's like, oh, do it for the art. Yeah. I mean, that's really easy to say, but if you've got a family to feed, and if you were used to an older model of making a little money, like, can't we all just share in this a little bit and make something that works so that we can provide you with the commodity that you're making billions of dollars streaming? Or otherwise it's, I hate to call it a commodity, but let's look at it from their perspective is what I'm saying. Yes, to me it's art, but it's just really difficult to make a living with, we've all diversified. Look at me here, right? I mean, it's like we've all diversified and we're doing different things, but it would just be nice if nice, like that's going to happen, right? I mean, they're just kind of, like, it's like, oh, you thought the music business was bad before because it was full of sharks before. Now it's just like, well, this is ridiculous, so that's the issue, is that they just don't. I mean, there's nothing in it. I mean, when I look at those Spotify Wrapped things at the end of the year, and they send you, 25 million people listen to your music or whatever, different artists, it's like, yeah, but I wish they would include in the Spotify Wrapped, here's what we paid you for all. Wouldn't that be cool? So that everybody could see this artist said, wow, thanks everybody for listening to my music, and look what it's like. Because I think everybody would be really shocked if they saw what all those streams, the Spotify Wrap thing, if what that actually brought in for the artist. It's peanuts. So, wonder if you're going to a World Junior Hockey game. No, I'm trying to stay away from crowds as much as possible. I need to test negative
in order to get back to the US, and I need to test negative to then fly to England. So that's the other, I'm trying to stay away from people as much as possible while still seeing some family. And it's all a big risk, you know. Like if I get, you know, into a thing where it's like, oh, you've got Omicron, then it's like I ain't going anywhere. And then that puts a lot of people in the lurch. So that's part of my stress. This 3 flights, all international over the holidays with all this shit going on. Ah. You guys, I got to split. My sister's going to be downstairs waiting for me. So I should run. Normally I just keep going, you know, but gotta go see her and stuff. And it's my last day here. I won't get to see her for a long time, probably. I'm so happy though that you all joined me. Oops, that's my alarm to tell me to get ready to go. I'm so happy you all joined me for this, and it was fun doing this. Actually, it's a really nice break, kind of to talk about guitar and stuff away from the stresses of the holiday season. So I appreciate it. And Cole, thank you, man, for the super chat, and thank you, Bradley, for the super chat. Thank all you guys for your super chat stuff. Helps keep the coffee going in this cold weather. And yeah, I hope you. Chef Jeff says he's ill. Let's all wish him well. Get better soon, bud. Not COVID, evidently, but there's still flu out there and stuff going around, of course. All right, great episode. Says Zigbert, thank you. Thanks for the thoughtful answer to my question about bad playing habits. You're welcome. I hope it sort of made sense. Yep. Is this true? Taylor Swift was the best-selling artist on Spotify 2016. They paid her a whopping $28K. Yeah, there you go. You know, it's not a sustainable situation. You know, it's not a sustainable situation. So on that note, it is what it is. But not complaining. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too, Mark. Everybody out there, you guys all have a great rest of your Boxing Day here in Canada. We call it Boxing Day. UK, different places, right? Or a great rest of your December 26th. And is this from B. Scott Sinner Tech? Somebody asking where that video is. I've started on it, and it'll be out in a few days. When I get back to LA, I'm finishing it first thing, and it'll be out soon. So you could buy a Honda. That's right. Taylor could buy a Honda. She makes other money in other ways, but that's key. You got to make money in other ways. Be diverse. You want to be. I'll leave you with that. You want to be a musician these days? Diversify. Many income streams. Many little income streams. That means different things for different people. Sell vinyl, sell CDs, stream, sell merch, play live, make music for video games. I don't know. Make pedal demo videos. Everybody this was really fun. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you. I got to check about next week. I may be flying next week on the day I'm supposed to do this, so I may change the time, but we will see. Okay. And I'll let you know on YouTube notifications or whatever, and then also Facebook if I got to change the time. See you guys. Thanks again.